It's about that time where New Year's resolutions are a thing, and for me, it's all about becoming a better driver. And as luck would have it, Disney actually put out a driver's educational video featuring Kurt Russell. Sure, it's from 1970 and considered one of Disney's strangest films ever made, but, I mean, Snake Plissken teaching me how to drive?
Right here, then you go
They're behind us.
and then there's 3 more.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, she's mine. Yeah, she's mine. Well, I love that little girl. Well, it's Lindy. Oh, it's Lindy. Well, I love that little girl.
Now, if there's one aspect of classic Walt Disney history that's gone underappreciated over the years, it's the over 500 theatrical short films that the studio has produced. Not only are they responsible for a high number of the company's Academy Awards, they also offered an opportunity to experiment with new styles and techniques that may or may not have been rolled into the next full feature-length film. This approach goes all the way back to the animated live-action hybrid techniques that Walt was producing in 1923 and later used in films like The Three Caballeros and Song of the South, and is still an approach used today. And while, sure, there are lots of examples of these tests going on to become bigger and better things, there are just as many where things didn't quite turn out that way. Take, for example, 1970's Dad, Can I Borrow the Car? Sort of educational pop art acid trip that's about responsibility and car culture and tripping your balls off. It's the kind of capital E experimental filmmaking that you would never expect Disney to be putting out there, which is a good thing, especially if you're the kind of person that would slam a few edibles before going to see 2001: A Space Odyssey for the 5th time that week. What's even wilder is that Dad, Can I Borrow the Car comes from the mind of Ward Kimball, one of Walt's go-to animators and also part of Disney's 9 Old Men. And while sure, he worked on so many of the heavy hitters that the studio is known for, Kimball also spearheaded a handful of these theatrical shorts that pushed new technology. 1953's Melody was one of the first animated films to be filmed and released in 3D, while later that year, Toot, Whistle, Plunk, and Boom was Disney's first attempt at displaying their animation in widescreen CinemaScope. Then finally, in 1969, Kimball directed It's Tough to Be a Bird, a kind of mishmash of live action and animation and documentary and comedy, all with just a sprinkling of an acid trip towards the end of the film. It was far and away his biggest departure from what you would expect from a living, breathing Disney legend. I guess there was that anti-Vietnam War short he had produced the previous year. Brings us all back around to Disney's exercise in What Exactly Am I Watching? Dad, Can I Borrow the Car? The whole movie loosely follows an unnamed main character through the various stages of his early life and shows off how cars and car culture have impacted him. And when I say early life, they're really beginning at the beginning here.
I guess this thing with wheels started the day I was born.
We then continue on, shadowing him as a little baby, where he learns the importance of keeping a car full of gas. Then shadowing him in nursery school, where he figures out that...
And you find out about other driving dangers too, like women drivers.
There's a whole section detailing the various toy cars that he's played with, including a pretty fantastic stop-motion animation sequence. And then finally, while going over how much fun motorcycle hill climbing can be, we're introduced to his dad.
A little patience and practice, well, you may become an expert. Just like Dad here.
Who's apparently a real friggin' animal. I mean, look at this guy. We then flash forward to our high school-aged main character, where just about the remainder of the film takes place. Which also gives us a great opportunity to pause for a second and ask ourselves, what the heck have we been watching? It's not really an educational documentary, but it's also not a full-fledged fictional narrative. It's definitely strange and avant-garde, which doesn't exactly let up anytime soon. Now, the main focus of this teenage section is going through the process of learning to drive, which apparently includes the use of a full-on driving simulator.
Feels just like you're driving on your own. It's the real thing.
During this film program, you will find yourself in real-life driving situations that you will face when you are ready to drive your own car. A common hazard is a door opening into the flow of traffic. Learn to recognize this danger. In city driving, be on the lookout for any unusual situation and adjust accordingly. Did you see the bank robbery? Did you notice how much money was stolen?
Now, I don't know about you guys, but driver's ed in my school basically consisted of watching Red Asphalt on loop for like 2 weeks.
What you're about to see is not going to entertain you. There are scenes of human suffering and death in stark reality. We did not enjoy making this film, and we don't expect you to enjoy watching it.
Damn!
Try to keep up with the flow of traffic. Brake quickly. Steer right. Enter a superhighway at a speed comparable.
That's more like it. We then get an overview of the DMV experience, which is somehow even more anxiety-inducing than going to the actual DMV. Actually, before we watch this, I just gotta take a deep breath. This part always gives me crazy anxiety.
This is a spot. I guess that's okay. Kind of hard to concentrate. Little things bug you. Like this guy who knows all the answers. And this chick who thinks I'm trying to copy her paper. Oh, yeah. And there's this official who keeps his eye on everything. Now comes the driving test. And here's where you meet your examiner. Dum-da-dum-dum.
Now pull out into traffic and turn right, please.
Does he have to keep scratching with that pencil?
Congratulations. You passed.
And of course, now that the nameless main character has his driver's license, it's time for him to figure out what type of car he should drive. Should he go with a dune buggy, or a race car, or a custom car right out of some kind of custom car fashion show?
Of course, the big thing now is the custom car fashion show, complete with beautiful models. The show starts with our dune buggy, designed especially for sand drag racing fans. Now, this one is really something. Would you believe a milk wagon car? Now, are you ready for this? They call it the Mobile Comfort Station Wagon, and it's just loaded with antique goodies.
Without a doubt, though, the best part of this section is when the main character decides to go down to a used car lot and is serenaded by various vehicles that look like they're straight out of a 1970s version of cars.
Hey, buddy, over here. Hey, you looking for a good deal? Well, this is it, you know.
Achtung! Are you just shopping or are you ready to buy? We have ways of finding out, you know.
Mon chéri, don't look any further. I could give you everything you want. Ours would be a beautiful love affair, mon petit.
Wow. Turns out that this little slice of weirdness is just the beginning of the end, because right after a seriously strange car wash scene that's right out of the Country Bears, we're told that while having your own car is great and all, it turns out that there are more important things in life.
There are other things, you know, like when you dig some special chick. I mean, well, you know, love. Well, it happens to a lot of people. It's nothing new. It's been happening for a long time. Today, when you feel this love thing, well, you show it by running through a field in in slow motion.
And just like that, we've made it through one of Disney's strangest films ever made.
The film you have just seen is imaginary. Only the traffic is real.
It's kind of hard to figure out what exactly Dad, Can I Borrow the Car is supposed to be. Is that the point? Is it some kind of absurdist take on the types of educational films that Disney had previously put out?
Exercise is good for you during menstruation. Just use common sense.
And what's up with Kurt Russell? Or just the lack of his physical presence. At this time, he would have been right in the middle of his 10-year contract with Walt Disney Studios, and it was Walt Disney that had pretty much predicted Russell's ascent to stardom.
You're about to meet a 15-year-old boy for whom I predict a great acting future. His name is Kurt Russell.
But then why only use his voice? Sure, it could have been the fact that the studio's big star at the time was juggling a lot of different film and TV roles in the late 60s and early 70s, so it was easier to get him involved just enough to slap Kurt Russell on the poster. Of course, it could have also had something to do with the fact that Russell had a semi-professional baseball career going on top of his acting career.
I was a real serious ball player, and at 13 I already was headed down the path of becoming a pro player. Part of the need on my behalf was that I be released at 3:30 on game days. It was serious. It wasn't, people thought one time when it was a contractual issue, if I was trying to get more money, it had nothing to do with that. It was I was a ball player. I needed that time.
So it all makes sense that, yeah, he just probably wasn't available for on-camera work. Wild fact here, apparently some of Walt Disney's last words were Kurt Russell.
Is it true that has been said that his last words, Walt Disney's last words, for one reason or another, were your name, Kurt Russell?
It's the one reason or another that I'm worried about.
Obviously he loved you.
Yeah, I guess I have seen that. The secretary actually, shortly after Mr. Disney died, I was brought up to the office, and she asked me if I knew anything about it, and I said, no, I don't, but there it was, and he'd written it, and I assume, as do everybody else, that he was talking about some movie that he was thinking about having me in or something, but that's a quirk of life. I don't know what to make of it more than that.
But back to Dad, Can I Borrow the Car? When it was first seen in theaters, it was cut down to only 20 minutes and shown before 1970's The Aristocats, which must have been a strange experience. I mean, imagine taking your family to see. And this pops up first. Audiences had to wait 2 full years before Dad, Can I Borrow the Car was eventually shown in full, but as an episode of The Wonderful World of Disney on the small screen. And since then, Disney really hasn't done all that much with this strange little experimental film. It's not on Disney Plus. And while there is a DVD available, it is a Disney Movie Club exclusive title, so you can expect to pay up big time if you're not a member. But is it even worth going out of your way to see it? If you're like me and eat little historical relevant nuggets like this for breakfast, you're probably already all over this. Otherwise, it's an easy skip. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta make a quick call if you'll excuse me just 1 second. Yeah, as much peyote as you can get. I got a driving test in like an hour or so. Thanks, Disney. I'm sure I'll do great.